Let's see. Yep. We'll view on Twitter. Looking good. So now we can retweet this, hopefully.
Okay. I have to stop sharing my screen for a minute so I can go and retweet.
Yeah. All right.
Have you posted it yet?
All right. So I'm on your screen now. I've just shared it on
Okay.
Twitter,
Seen.
on my Twitter account. You have, cool. All right. So welcome. So we're starting what will hopefully be a long train of JavaScript sessions, coding sessions, where we create our own static site generator. And what that is something that takes real simple information for writing blogs and stuff like that and transforms it into HTML pages that you can put on GitHub, and you can create websites with it and things like that. If you've done JavaScript before, you're probably familiar with static site generators like Hexo, Gatsby, Jekyll, stuff like that. And so we're basically going to kind of clone something like that, but do a simple version. And Ruben here is going to help me through this. Ruben, you want to say hey?
Hey, hello.
Good. Your sound's coming through clear, which is great. Um, now, Ruben is a beginner with JavaScript, and we wanted to do this in a way that showed people how to do this from the ground up. So all you need to do is to have Node.js installed on your system and some kind of text editor, and you should be able to follow along with these things. So we're going to try and keep sort of a medium to advanced depth here, or detail here, just so people who haven't done this before can get an understanding of what's going on. So if you're an experienced, sort of mid to experienced JavaScript developer, you might not get as much out of this. But without further ado, let's get started. So if you want to share your screen, Ruben, and anyone is welcome to join as well. If you want to see this link up here and join, I suggest you join with low data mode on. It's much better. You can do that. And you'll be able to chat with us too. And if we get people spamming us, then we'll shut them down somehow.
Yeah.
So if you want to click the little hide thing down there. Yeah, thank you. And then go for your terminal. So just before we start the actual coding, we're going to be doing server side, and we're going to be doing front end as well. So we're going to mix it up here. We're going to be on both sides of the wall, so to speak. So I felt like this was a really fun way to get started. Because you get a little bit of a sense of what's going on in the background on a server and running JavaScript in two different environments at the same time, and connecting those. There's all kinds of ways to connect them, but yeah, let's get started. So if you type in code here, type in code space dot and then hit enter, and what that'll do is open Visual Studio Code up in this directory, and just X out this message here, and yeah, go to create file server.js. So if you click, this is just remembering what you were doing before, basically. So if you cross those out, yeah, that's good. Awesome. Now if you jump back into your terminal again and you type in code test dot
Space or no
space,
space?
yeah, test.js, and hit enter, and that will open the test.js file. And in here we're going to do console.log. So if you write console.log, which is just a way of printing something out to the screen, and then open parens, these are the round parens that you want to do. Yep. And then just type use a quote to start a string and just write hello world. Yep. And then save that. Just Control S. We're using Linux here for everything, just because it's all free. And then hop back into your terminal now. And if you type in which space node, what which does is it will look for the programs that you have on your system and tell you where they are. So if you hit enter, you can see that node is running from user bin node, which is kind of the standard place it installs on Linux. Now, if you run node and hit enter, it will bring up the REPL, which is just a way of coding in Node Live. So if you do 2 + 2 and hit enter, yep, there you go, you've got 4. So this will just you can come in here and test things if you want, and most, if not all, languages have some form of REPL like this. So if you hit Control C twice, it will bring you out. Yep. Now what you want to do is run node space test.js. Yep. And you can do just the first 2 letters of the file and hit tab as well if you want to take a shortcut. So if you just rewind there, so it says TE, hit tab, there you go, and it auto completes it for you, and that becomes super useful. So hit enter. So you can see that it's printed out hello world onto your console. Yep. So with that, we know that node is working. We have everything set up. So we can start building our HTTP server. So whenever you go to a website anywhere, whatever you visit, in the address bar, you are going to hit an HTTP server. And HTTP is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, which is basically HTML. Will get fed over the line, usually in plain text. So if you now type in code space server.js, yep, you got it, and hit enter. And JS just stands for JavaScript for anyone who's new to this. Now, what we're going to want to do here is, if we're going to use the module system in Node, which is one of the really powerful things about Node.js, which was later adopted in the web browser too, is you can create different modules that have different responsibilities, and it helps you to break up your code so you can take something that's really complex and simplify it. So if you were to type, we're going to make a constant variable, so if you type const or const, yep, space http space equals space require. So we're going to use the require command, which in Node is kind of the old school default way of pulling in a module. And then you want the round parens, so open the parentheses, yep, and then quote, and then HTTP again. All right. So what this is doing is it's going and getting a default module that ships with Node.js. So what happens is, behind the scenes, Node.js is running machine code to do various different things. You can do streaming, you can do HTTP transport, which is what we're doing here. You can do audio, you can do anything. But this is just kind of the interface between the code that you're writing and then the more complicated machine code under the hood. Now, most of the time in JavaScript, people put semicolons at the end of their line. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. And later on, we'll set this all up so that the semicolons are automatically getting inserted whenever you save the file. So if you now go under this line and you console log HTTP, let's try that out and run it in the console.
Another line.
Yeah. So if you type console.log here. Yep. Perfect. And then open parens. Yep. You got it. Now HTTP again.
Inside the open parentheses.
That's right.
Should I add a quote?
No, you don't need a quote here, because what we're doing is we're referencing the variable. Yeah, you see that green word above. We're just referencing what we've loaded, the module. So if you save that and run it. So then you want to type node server.js. No server. SE tab. And then hit enter. So what you're seeing here is just a list of, these are where it says function down here, these are public methods, and the status codes there are a way of communicating between the browser and the backend, the server, sort of what's going on, what the state of operations is. So now we're going to go back into, actually, if you were to, excuse me, if you can you drag one of the windows, can you split the windows so they're left and right so we can see both at the same time? So if you drag, I know you're new to Linux, so some of this will be weird at first, but if you drag the menu bars to the left or the right, yep, there you go, and drag it all the way till it's, yeah, perfect. Okay, and now in the server.js, could you go in and when you click on that window, could you do Control-Shift plus maybe 1 or 2 times? I just want to try and make the text size the same for people who might have low vision watching this.
Is it okay?
No, not in that one. So if you do Control minus a couple of times now, or is it Control Shift minus? Yeah, there you go. So leave that one there. All right, so Control Shift plus here, and then maybe Control minus again, and then back into the terminal window and Control Shift plus once. That's great. Just because for some people it's very hard to read beyond a certain size, and this window is also smaller than the total screen as well on the stream. Okay, so now we've got HTTP, we can start using it. All right, so let's take a quick look here. I think I've got my terminal open. So we're going to create a server. So I'm going to copy and paste a couple of things for you into the chat. So I'd like you to copy and paste this into your server.js. There you go, and then bring up your VS Code. If you click on your VS Code icon in your very left, there you go. And
Should I
then
put it on the terminal or
in the VS Code here, so come down a couple of lines and then paste this in. Great. And if you can, you should be able to, between the two windows, if you hover there, you should see a little arrow thing. So right on the line between the terminal and the text editor. There you go. You saw it just there. It popped up a little sideways arrows. So drag that a little bit to the right so you can see more of this. Yeah, and then let it go. I was hoping it was going to drag both at the same time, but that's okay. All right, that's good. So what we're looking at here is where it says const server equals HTTP create server. That is basically it's instantiating an HTTP server, and the request listener variable that you see there that's being passed in, that is a JavaScript function that you're going to create that will get fired every time you try and hit the server from the browser. And then the server.listen line takes three arguments here. Port, which is the port you're running on, we'll use 8080. And then the host, which we're just going to use localhost. And then we have a log line here, which is just going to tell us that the server's running. So we know something's happening when we run it in the terminal. So if you go above the const server line, and come down, we're going to write const request listener. Yep. Equals, and then function. Yep. You want the whole word function there. So T, yeah, there you go. Now I think when that drop down pops down in VS Code, you either hit space or enter, and it will fill it out for you. You don't have to drag down and click on it, just so you know.
okay.
And then if you open the parenthesis here, so the round ones, there you go. And then we're going to type in request, QUEST, yep. And then comma, and then the word response. Great. Oh. Response as in I'm giving you a response. So RESPONSE or CE, sorry. No, yeah, SE. You got it. Then go to the right of the parens that you're at. So if you, yep. And then you want to use a curly brace. So you see down below where it says host and port, they're using the curly braces. You got it, perfect. Now hit enter again, and that will bring you into a new line. Now let's do console.log. And then we'll do the parens again, and we're going to log request. All right. And if you save that, you'll see the little thing up the top there, the little circle when it's not saved shows up, and then when you save it, it turns back to an X. Now, think about this for a moment. When you run this in the terminal, what do you think is going to happen? It's okay to get
I'm
this
gonna
wrong,
get-
so I don't expect you to get it right. It's kind of a trick question.
Okay. I'm gonna get a response.
Okay.
A
Now,
response of. Okay.
what part of the code is going to run first?
The part is the JavaScript part, which is this function.
This function, the request listener function, that's
Yeah.
going to run first.
Yes.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
What will actually happen first is the server.listen will run first. Now this is something really important to remember, especially about a language like JavaScript.
okay.
Things don't always happen in the order that they're written. Especially with a language like JavaScript, which uses a lot of callback functions. Now, a callback function is, you see where it says const server equals HTTP create server parens request listener on line 9?
Yes.
That request listener function that you just wrote is a callback function. So what that is, there's a function that's sitting in a variable somewhere.
Okay.
And when you do something else, it calls back to that function. And this is one of the, this is a powerful feature of any language, but even more so in JavaScript actually. And we can get into that later when we get more complicated. But so what's going to happen is this: you've set this request listener function up, but you've just put it in a variable. All right, so all that's going to do is just put that somewhere and save it for later. Same again with the server. You're going to create the server, so you're going to run something here, and this is really where you have an equals, you're setting whatever's on the right of the equals to the variable on the left. But then where you have the parens, you're actually running something. So here we're going to create the server with the request listener on line 9, and it's going to get stored in the server variable. And then we're telling the server to listen on the port and host. So there's no equals on line 10. I mean, there is in the function, but that's not really an equals. Those two symbols together mean one thing, where it says equals greater than. So the server listening and the creation of the server are going to happen first. And then the request listener is going to get called back only when you hit the page in the browser. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's a little bit long-winded, I apologize, but so now that you know that the server is going to get created first and the listening, it has to be listening on a port. What do you think will happen when you run this? Would that change your answer?
Yes, it's gonna change my answer.
Okay. So what do you think will happen when you try and run this?
When I run it, it will first of all show me this on line 9. First
Yep.
of all, create server request listener.
Yep.
Yeah, that was first.
And so what will you see on the terminal?
On the terminal,
Yep. What do you think you'll see?
server is running HTTP
Okay.
port.
Okay. All
Server
right.
is
So you
running
want?
HTTP.
Okay. You want to give it a
Should I
try?
look at-
Oh, sorry. Were you going
Yeah.
to say something?
I said, should I look at it? Should I give it a try?
Yeah. Let's give it a try and see what happens.
Okay. Should I drag this back?
No, you can just click on the other one and it will pop it open. There you go.
Okay.
So then you want to type node server.js, then hit enter. All right. So syntax error, unexpected end of input. Why are we seeing this?
Is it because of the error here?
On line 14. Oh yeah, you've got two little things in there that shouldn't be there.
Should I comment this out?
No.
Activity.
On line 13 and 14, if you just delete those little characters. Sorry, I didn't see those before. Then you save it again. All right, so this was the trick question that I was giving you.
Okay.
And it looks like we can't see some of the text here in your terminal, but don't worry about it for now. If you go, so you're seeing the HTTP get logged out to the terminal on line 3. So if you go in and comment that out in your server.js. Yep. And save it. Just come back in and run again. Now and when you run it again, you should still see the error. Right. So what's it saying to you, or what do you think it's saying to you on the error line there?
Port is not defined.
Right. So this is what I was getting at before with the trick question. So what should happen is it should tell you that your port hasn't been defined. And if you were to fix the port, it will tell you that your host hasn't been defined if you try and run it again. So hop back into the code editor and try and fix that error. And let me know if you need help. But I think you should probably know what you're doing, I think. So you need a host and a port variable.
I need help.
Sorry?
I said I need help.
Okay, so come up above the server line. Actually, go up to where you've got console log HTTP.
Okay.
There you go. And start a new line under there.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to define the variable, two variables here. So we'll start with, these are going to be constants again, so another const. And all a constant means is just a variable that doesn't change for the duration of your program. So const port
space,
yeah, equals 8080. Yep, you got it. And then you come down under there and do another line. And this is going to be const host. Yep, equals. And then do a string. And then localhost. And if you remove the space between local and host there, you got it. Now save that. And we should see things working.
It's gonna be defined.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I think that's the... If you just do Control C, you don't need to rewind everything there. Just in future, if you've got... Yeah, you can run that. If you have a load of text on your screen and you just want to get rid of it, you can do Control C. Okay, so now your server's running. So this is good. If you hold down Control and you click on that link there, so Control should give you... should allow you to click on the links. Yeah, there you go. All right, and now we're loading it in the browser. So if you go to the If you type Control Shift I on your keyboard, yep, and you refresh here, if you click the, one thing you can do is click the X. You can do Control Shift T if you want to bring that tab back open.
Okay.
So what you're seeing in the terminal here is you're seeing the request object get dumped out onto the terminal. So this is all of the information in the request, which will be things like what browser you're using and what OS operating system you're using, and what the address was in the bar, which is something that's important to us. Now if you want, just do Control C here to quit the program. Yep. Then you can hit up again and enter. Then Control and click on the link. Now Control Shift I, and if you're on the network tab, great, that's awesome. So what we should see here is the page loading or something loading, but all we get is this loading spinner up in the top of the tab there. So to fix that, we're going to go back into VS Code. Now, if you drag this window a little bit bigger, or double click at the top, it might just go full screen. Now here you can see the request in the request listener function is highlighted because we're actually using it in the console log, and you can see that the response variable has been grayed out because we're not doing anything with it. So what we're going to do is, where you have console log request under that line, change this to console.log request.url. URL. Yep. So save that and hop back into the terminal again. Okay, and kill the program with Control C. Then hit up and click on the link again. And now you can see it opens the browser again. But back in the terminal, if you hop back over there for 1 second, you can see this slash coming out. You see that down there?
Yeah.
So that is the URL that you're hitting. So it's taking the address in the browser's address bar and it's just doing slash. Now you haven't written slash, but slash just represents the root of whatever you're serving, or the home page, for example. So if you were to go into the address bar now, if you do slash test with an s .html, yep, and you hit enter, you got it. Now drop back into the terminal once more, and if you scroll down, you can see that the test.html is coming out. So that is the URL on your request object. When it gets passed to that function, that callback function request listener, you're getting that URL. So kill this program again in the terminal. Great. And then jump back to VS Code. Okay, let's give it a response. So under the line you have here, if you type just drop down onto a new line and type in response.end. Then open parens, and type a string here, and then just type in hello. Then save and restart the server. Click the link and let's see what happens. You'll need to go into your terminal once more and yeah, you got it. Great. All right, so
Hello.
now you can see hello. So
To respond.
yeah, so there's your response, and that's just a plain text string that you're passing back, and there's lots of things you can do. Like you can stream things to the browser, or you can just send some text. A long piece of text gets sort of chunked down and sent bit by bit. That's one of the nice things about HTML when it came out. You don't need to download the whole HTML file to begin seeing the page. That was a really important feature of the web. So what we're going to do now real quickly is just try and send a file back. So we're going to, if you hop back into your terminal and kill the server again, and now you do code test.html. That's TEST. Give it a space between the code and the test. .html. Hit enter. And then let's type in a less than symbol. So that would be like shift comma. Yep. And then type in H1 for heading 1. Yep. And then a greater than symbol. Yep. Oh, that should be H1, not HI. My bad. Yep. H1, there you go. Perfect. And then type in it worked. And save that. You got it. Now we're going to go into server.js again, and we're going to get it to serve this file to you. So no, we're not going to start the server yet in the terminal. We're going to go back into the VS Code server.js. Perfect. And now we want to get access to that file so that we can send it over to the browser. So we're going to need to pull in another module at the top of the code here. So if you go up to just beneath the const HTTP line, go just above, because we want to keep all of our imports together in one block and not let code get between them, because that can end up, as we build things out, it will get more complicated if we do that. So const, and then fs equals, you want to put a space in there. Always a space after const. There you go. Yep, fs equals, then open parens, quote, fs. Okay. Now we've got fs. We're going to come down to the request listener, and after your console log, let's start a new line below. Perfect. And here we're going to we're going to use a shortcut that you shouldn't use in a production program, but it's a nice little shortcut just to keep this simple. So if you type fs dot, so that's file system dot read file sync. So start typing read and you should see it in the list. Read file capital F capital F there. Yep. File sync. Capital S again. This is something else to mention about JavaScript. For each new word in a variable name or a method name, you generally use a capital. So read file sync, then open parens, and then we're going to say a quote. So start a quote, a string, and then dot slash. Now, a dot slash just means we're referencing a file from the point of the script that we're running here, or from the point of from where the program is running in the system. So in this case, it will be your username, repos, main, and so now we're going to give it the file name test.html. Yep. And now if you go to the beginning of this line, we're going to, oh actually, just before you do that, go back to the end and put a parens around there. Sorry, an ending parens. So if you, yeah, I asked you to do this the wrong way basically, but now jump to the start of the line again. What you've got is good. And so type in const space HTML equals. Good. And then capital S for string, and then you're going to write string and open parens. Yep, there it is. Then open parens. Great. Now what we're going to have to do, well actually just to explain that line, we're reading this file synchronously, which means we don't have to do any complicated events. Normally what we would do is we would read a file asynchronously, wait until the system had given us the file or a stream of the file, and then start sending it back. But here we're just going to load the whole file into the HTML variable, and now we need to pass that back into the response. So do you want to have a go at doing that?
Yeah. Should I save it?
Yeah. Save where you're at. And then let's get that response coming back.
Should I run it?
No, don't run it yet. First, what we need to, because all you're going to see if you run this now, what do you think you'll see if you were to run this and show it in the browser?
I'm still going to get the response. Hello.
That's right, you will. Yeah, exactly. But that's not what we want. We want the contents of the test file. So how will you get that?
We want the contents of the test file. So I have to create.
So we've got the so we have the in our program here. We have the contents in a variable.
Okay.
So that line you just wrote on line 10, we'll put the contents of that file in that variable.
Okay.
So what you want to do in response.end is replace hello with the variable.
So should I take hello out?
Yep. Take that whole thing out. Just make it an empty parens. Yep. And now what variable name do you think it needs?
fs.readfile.
Nope. We've already done that and turned it into a string and we've stored it in a variable. So if you remember, everything on the left of an equals takes everything on the right of an equals, it gets put into that space in memory.
Okay.
So what's left of your read file sync?
Is it test.html?
Yep, HTML. You got it. Ooh. You got a typo there. There you go. All right. So save this. And now one more thing we're going to do before we run it. Oh, you've pasted something in the bottom by accident there. Let's take that out. Oh. No. That's too much. So do Control Z. Control Z again. Control and Z. You might. Or just take the. You may have overwritten your history now. So if you just take the piece that I've added in the chat.
Okay.
And I will actually just paste this again for you. So if you come back to the chat, that little piece there, if you copy it and paste it back into VS Code. Oh, your electricity's gone? Okay. All right, no worries. We are almost done. All right, so hover over, drag that, replace those lines with the stuff you got it. Great. Paste that over. Great. Save that. Now.
Save.
Yep, save that. So, seeing as your electricity's run out, let's just hop into the browser and give it a try. I was going to tell you to do an extra step, but we'll stop here. Oh, okay. You need to run it in your terminal. Okay. There you go. Server.js. Hit enter. All right. And now, if you go back to your browser, test.html. All right. Let's go into your terminal and see. We see. Read file sync is not a function. I wonder if I wonder if read file is not capitalized. Read file might be one word, in which case it's not following convention. But so no, it should be fs require fs. Read file sync. Why would that not be working? Read file sync is not a function. Can you jump back to your terminal for a sec?
Okay, I think I should type this again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
I think I should type this read file sync again.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't get it well.
If you go back and you get rid of the dot as well, that might help you because I think it will change what you'll see. Oh, here's what we're doing wrong. Up the top where you're importing FS, you're not using the require method.
Okay.
So if you want to put require before FS. No. Up the very top where we're doing our imports. So just jump up there. You see the top line HTTP equals require, and then HTTP has to be the same for all the modules we're importing. So it should be FS equals require FS. No, not the very top line. The line underneath. Yeah. Require. There you go. That's good. Now if you come back down to the inside of the string function there, so just after the purple parens. Yep. Now type fs dot read file sync. There you go. Oh, get rid of the dot.
Read.
And you can select, just hit enter. There you go. And then remove the dot.
Okay.
Yep. Save that and now try running it. It should work.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's try this in the browser. It worked.
It worked.
Great. Now, even though we haven't given it a MIME type of HTML, it's still showing you the heading big and bold. So it's interpreting it as HTML anyway. But if you were to try and serve a video file, for example, without a MIME type, it won't play because it won't know what kind of file it is. Or at least I think that's true. I think that's still true in all browsers, but I'm not sure. Okay, so that's it for today. I know your electricity is about to go out, but do you have any questions before we go?
No questions.
Okay. Well, thanks for helping volunteer with this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mom.
And tomorrow what we'll do is we'll start serving up different types of files, or it might not be tomorrow, it might be Monday because I have to go away for a family thing. But we'll serve up different files with different MIME types. So we'll serve up JavaScript, HTML, CSS for changing the styles and the colors and in images and things like that. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thanks very much, Ruben. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.